Hi everyone. I'm very happy to be here amongst pioneers and new trailblazers. I am Emmanuel Aldeguer. I'm the CEO and founder of OKP4, and I'm here with Théo for this product review about our great protocol. So just a few words of introduction before about OKP4. Definitely doesn't work. So we are knowledge economy builders. Into the knowledge economy, our raw materials are digital resources, and they are very special because they are intangible, and also they are non-rival goods, and this fundamentally changed the economical paradigms. Into the knowledge economy, to share means to multiply and not to divide, and it changed a lot. Into the knowledge economy, to share doesn't necessarily mean to exchange and to lose ownership and sovereignty. And above all, into the knowledge economy, community and governance matter. That means that you cannot do your business alone by yourself, and you are among value chains, and you are interdependent with the other actors. There are a lot of community issues, governance issues, and privacy issues. And so this is something very important, and that's why all these paradigms are changing. So definitely with OKP4, we are not breeding new things, but we are making new things possible. From the very beginning, what we are doing in OKP4, we are very focused to develop an open knowledge protocol for everyone, for any organization, any individuals, and to allow them to be able to freely create digital commons, to fairly share any kind of resource based on any kind of rules, and this is something very important. And also from the very beginning, we have focused on real-life use cases, and we deeply think that there are numerous applications, numerous business applications that we can build on this fantastic blockchain technology. Of course, DeFi is nice, but what will come will be even greater. And we are OKP4 because, once again, we are open knowledge protocol for everything and everyone. And there is something very important in our protocol, is that we want to allow as many people as possible to build on the protocol and to be free as much as possible. So that's why also it was very important for us to, let's say, to bridge the gap between the protocol and the application. And that's why today we are very thrilled to introduce you to our interfaces who will allow anyone to create their zone and their environment. And Théo, the stage is yours.
Yeah, so for the first time, we're going to show you the different interfaces, mostly no-code interfaces, to interact with the protocol. So maybe to recap for the ones who don't know about us, what the protocol does is basically these three things. What you can do is to define any rules on chain. So to define any rules, basically, it works in two fashions. First, you have to create what we call a zone. So anyone can create a zone and enforce some rules. Like, for example, if you have a specific use case in mind, you're going to create a zone about this specific use case, specify what kind of data requirements, what kind of access rights work in this zone, what kind of governance mechanisms, I use the mic because for the recording, I know it's weird because there is no, but I have to use it. And yeah, so what kind of rules, from access rights to business models, anything is defined through the zone and through the rules attached also to the off-chain resources that are shared. So you have the rules side, and then you can share anything that is off-chain, any kind of data, any kind of algorithm, any kind of storage, any kind of computation. All of that is off-chain can be referenced in the blockchain and say, okay, this is where it's available, and these are the conditions that allow you to access it. And once you have the rules and once you have the resources, you can initiate workflows. So basically, if you want to mix some data sets with each other, you can do it through the protocol. And so we're going to show you the different interfaces that allows to do that. So because it's a bit abstract now, we're going to use a specific example that works on OKP4, and this is about carbon credits. So carbon credits is kind of simple example where you have two actors that work on the data collection. They have different data sets that needs to be shared to do the calculation of the carbon credits. And then, of course, once the carbon credit is calculated, one company has to issue that and can sell it on the market. So here we have, in this specific example, we're going to consider ourselves as being Nestlé. Nestlé, let's say it's a big company that does a lot of things from cereals for breakfast to pet food, and they have a lot of providers. One of these providers is FarmCoop. It's a cooperative with thousands of farmers, and basically they need the data from FarmCoop to do the carbon credit calculation. So this calculation is done by a research institute that developed an algorithm, and then if the calculation is fruitful, Nestlé can issue and sell the carbon credit they created thanks to that data. The issue is that FarmCoop, of course, they don't trust Nestlé. They don't want the data of their farmers to be accessed by Nestlé. The data of the accounting, the data of their practices. This is very private, and they have a trust issue, basically. Also, they don't know how to share the value. They want this to be explicit. They don't want Nestlé to capture all the value. They want it to be shared among everyone. So they need also that, and they have no common infrastructure. The cooperative has its own servers, its own data storage mechanism, whatever, and it's not designed to interact with the one of Nestlé and of the research institute. So it's this friction basically doesn't enable them to create and to calculate the carbon credit. And that's where OKP4 is important. It creates the right trust environment, and also it removes the need for trusting Nestlé. They can design all the rules on-chain. It creates the right incentives because everything is clear, everything is on-chain, and they can share the value as designed. And it creates the composability because everything can be shared. So let's dive into the interfaces now and the demo. So this is the portal. So where you can see everything from the different zones, the different data sets, the different services that are shared. So this is available for anyone, right? So we're going to dive into the carbon credit example, but anyone will be able to do these things. So you first need to connect your wallet. You're a Scapeler, but it can be another one. Here, Nestlé is creating its zone. So it defines the title, the description, the topic, the tags, everything that make the zone as explicit as possible. So this zone is specifically for the carbon credit. Here you can see we can choose a template because we don't want to start the rules from scratch. We want to use a template of rules. So depending on the project, here you can, for example, if you're thinking of a specific application, you can use a template that is designed for that. If you have for example, an industry in mind, you want to create a zone about aviation data, you can also use that template. Specific location, maybe you want to create a zone for your region or your country or whatever, you also have a template. Here is a specific project with a specific partner, so we're going to use that template of rules. And as you can see, there is different categories of rules from identity management. So here we keep it simple, it's just the key, it's just the ID of the wallet address. Here is the governance model. So Nestlé, we want to keep the ability to edit the rules. So I know it's quite centralized, but it's for this specific use case. And Nestlé don't want to share the ability to change the rules, so that's why they do that. They define who is allowed to share data sets within that zone. So here there is only two partners, Nestlé and the cooperative. They define the other metadata. The data has to be about agriculture, it has to be in Europe, these kind of things. Then they define here you can see the metadata of the data can only be edited by the providers. Any kind of storage is allowed, centralized, decentralized, and the download of the data is not allowed. So you can't download the data that is shared through that zone. For the services, anyone can share any algorithm or any service, and the metadata can only be exchanged by the provider. For the business model, it's same. It's keeping simple. The pricing is fixed. The price doesn't change, and it's defined by the provider. So now we have the zone, all the rules that are created. So we do a transaction on chain. So we're going to initiate that, and then so the validators are going to basically accept that transaction, and the zone is created on chain. So now we have the zone. Now we need the resources. We need the data. We need the services. So we're Nestlé. Here maybe I'm a data analyst. I have some data locally in my computer. So in this situation, I want to use a storage service that we shared previously. This is Minayo. It's a service to store data. Of course, if I would like to use an external storage, if I already had the data on a server, I would just reference and describe where the data is. But here, I want to select my files locally, so I'm going to use that service. So I select the files, the carbon data. That is a CSV file. And so once it's uploaded, we're going to describe that data. So the description, the metadata is on-chain. This will be on-chain. This will be described on-chain. And of course, the data, it stays in the off-chain service. And now that we've described as much as possible the data, we can share it. So this is a transaction that describes the data sets into the blockchain, into the ontology, and that now everyone can know that this data exists and can be accessed under specific conditions. Here we can see also FarmCoop on their side. They shared some financial data, so we're good. Now we have all the different data sets and we have the zone. So now we can create a workflow. So what we want now is to mix the different data sets and enable them to interact with the algorithm that does the calculation. But first we have a problem is that FarmCoop, they have shared data, but it's a JSON file, and we want a CSV file. So we need to take this data and put an intermediary service that will do the conversion from JSON to CSV, because we need CSV to interact with the carbon credit algorithm. So here you can see the different pricing. The data from FarmCoop, it has a fixed price. They defined it themselves. The data conversion has a less fixed price because it depends of the time of how long the conversion takes. So this will happen off-chain, and the payment will be adapted according to how the services worked. So now we have the different outputs. Let's consider that this will be CSV files. So now we want to mix the data from Nestlé with the different CSV files from FarmCoop with the carbon credit analysis. And so now what we want after that is to connect the output, because let's consider after that step, we will have the carbon credit indicators. And we want these indicators to be available only to one specific application that is developed. And so only the application will only have access to the output of this. The application will never have access to this, or this, only the output. And this is what will be available to the end user. So the application, it looks like this. This is a simple BI tool that will enable to show the different data sets. And so now we want to launch the workflow. As you've seen, the BI tool is empty. Now we want to launch the workflow. So you see the price estimation, because now we're going to create the transaction on chain. It's going to be accepted with the 82 no. And then the processing will happen off chain. And when the processing is done, there will be a feedback from the workflow engine that is off chain. That's okay. It worked that way. The different services were triggered in such a fashion. It went well, and maybe it costed, I don't know, 80 no. So I will be reimbursed for 2 no if it cost 80. So now we create the transaction. Because it complies with the rules, the transaction is accepted. Now now the different off-chain resources that are listening to the blockchain get executed. They can interact with each other, and then the new data set is created. And you can see in the application that these different indicators are made available.
So thank you, Théo. So what is very important for us is that, once again, to be able to enable a lot of stuff to allow people to make a lot of stuff through the protocol. So that's why we started to build this application. But definitely, it's very important for us to be limitless. Because I mean, I was talking about new economical paradigms, but the old paradigms are no efficient anymore. But the new one still have to prove their relevancy. So it's important for us to allow people to make as much thing as possible. And also, what is important for me today to say is that we are like dwarf mounted on the shoulders of giants, nano gigantum humeris incidentes, because nothing can be done without the Cosmos SDK. And I would like Théo, please introduce to us, what are the link between us and the Cosmos and how we can interact with the IBC and so on.
Yeah, we're part of Cosmos, part of IBC. We're using Cosmosm. So really the idea, as you've seen, is that what we enable, let's say it's a bridge from the blockchain to the Web2 world. We can, from the blockchain, initiate action in the Web2 world, in the regular databases and algorithm systems. And through IBC, what we will benefit from is what every other protocol is already building. Akash is doing decentralized computation. Checked is doing decentralized identity mechanisms. Jack Archive, they're doing decentralized storage. There is also other protocol, Filecoin, Arweave. I mean, all these guys building these specific tools that will benefit from these use cases and that will create it. So really the vision is to enable through OKP4 to create new use cases for blockchain, for Cosmos at large, and especially real world use cases. We've seen B2B side, but of course there is a lot of things to do in a more Web3 native fashion to coordinate real world behavior at scale, and that's really the vision. So yeah, as a reminder, yeah, what we can do is really share anything in any way you want for any use case, and as I mentioned, all these guys will benefit from that, and of course we benefit from them too.
So definitely, I mean, our project knows no limit when it's concerned to develop any kind of rules, any kind of governance rules, and its ability to break down the barrier to that inter collaboration. So what is very important is to be in relationship with the community, and definitely we need the community to test stress our ideation, our breakthrough, and to create, because it's just the start, and to create and to get better the interfaces and to participate to create application on the top of the protocol. And this is great to be here today and to participate. We were in Osmoism last week. We are here in Nebular, and to have interconnection with any kind of developers, any kind of builders. It can be Web2, it can be companies. So it's very important to be here and to discuss. We have a booth here. There is still one day, so don't hesitate to come to see us. And maybe what is important also is that maybe Théo can give us some hints and clues to how to develop some use cases into the Web3 world also.
Yeah, because the company OKP4 started now 4 years ago, a bit more, mostly on B2B use cases. So the B2B use cases were started, the company was in the middle as the kind of the intermediary, and now, as you've seen, we have the blockchain, we have the interfaces to remove the company from the middle and to enable these use cases to work autonomously. But we were very focused on B2B side, on agriculture, on logistics, on aviation, analytics, health. This is great, but of course there is a lot to be in the crypto world as well for maybe guys like you. I know there is also some people involved in big companies here, but of course more crypto native builders maybe have some cool ideas as well, and I want to give some hints. So for example, this is kind of categories that things you can do with OKP4 quite easily. Maybe you want to incentivize the collection of data, specific data, I don't know, data from IoT health of your device, or data from the cars. That's something you can create a zone with a custom token, with a custom mechanism for business model and incentives. If you want to do that, you can do it quite easily with OKP4, defining the rules, defining the token design to incentivize the collection of data for whatever purpose. Maybe you want to incentivize some labeling. As you know, in this world where AI is getting bigger and more important, to label data, so to specify what kind of data that is pretty important to train some algorithms. And that's also something that you can build on OKP4. Maybe you want you have a huge data sets that are not labeled well, and you want some participation from communities or from people. So you can create that. Same on the curation. So the curation is basically, there is a lot of data and algorithm everywhere. Maybe you want to create a mechanism for people to dive into these different data sets and algorithm and like bet on the ones that are the most useful. So they are going to put some money, some tokens on data and algorithm in order to bring some visibility. And if these are used, the curator will have a part of the revenue. So that's also a mechanism that you can apply to many things. So regarding private sharing, so maybe you have an idea of an application that relies on private data. I don't know, maybe you want to train an algorithm based on private financial data of people, of community, using privacy preserving services or ZK services. You can do that through the protocol as well, so that may be an idea. Also regarding marketplaces, maybe you know the Amazon Mechanical Turk is like this marketplace where a lot of people can work for very small tasks and earn some cents or some dollars. And you can do a pretty similar marketplace through OKP4, but in an anonymous way, and in a way that is very more efficient than Amazon. Or maybe you want to bring new tools for DAOs. So maybe a DAO wants to control a Twitter account or a Discord account or a Discord bot, or maybe you want the DAO to train an algorithm. This is something also as well that can be done through OKP4. So there's plenty of ideas, and I think it's just about us trying this experiment and see what works.
So yeah, so what next? So it ignited our passion to embrace this transformative journey, definitely, and from the very beginning of the ideation to the present day, I mean, the DREIT teams work tirelessly to bring this vision to fruition, and it's great. Thank you, guys. And so definitely the journey is to be continued, and we'll have some announcement at the Cosmoverse in Istanbul for the mainnet and the no token listing, who will occur before the end of the year. So thank you for your attention, and hope to see you soon.